as far as the fight, like on the event night, we're not going to go because the event's going to end about 9 o'clock, and then we get to go hang out with Todd Ault. Todd called me and he goes, "Hey Jerome," he goes, "what are you doing on Saturday night for the inner circle and for the speakers and everybody else?" And I said, "We're going to go do like a cocktail hour." He goes, "I want to buy everybody dinner." And he goes, "What's it going to cost? $200 a head." So he goes, he picked a restaurant there inside the MGM, really nice restaurant, about $200 a head to feed him. And he's like, "What is it going to cost? Like $10,000?" And so Alec, what'd you say? What is he, a baller? He's like,
"That's how we go."
He's like, "He's a baller." And I'm like, well, yeah, Todd Ault's done well for his whole life, but he hit billionaire status this year, and he made his company go public. And so Alec was asking me, "So when are you going to hit billionaire status, Jerome?" And I told him, if you would asked me a year ago, I'd probably tell you that's not really one of my goals. And I couldn't visualize it. I couldn't visualize like how you become a billionaire even a year ago. And so, but what I've built over the last 5 years, I sit back now and I go, wow, I can see this compounding over the course of the next decade, where billionaire status is not outside of reach because of how money duplicates. And what's funny is you sit back, and until you actually can visualize it yourself, you'll never hit that level of success. Because one of the big things is you got to be able to visualize. And the biggest problem that people have is their mental state and their mental block, as opposed to their ability. The money's out there, right? It's out there. It's available. There's people doing it. You look around and you look at a couple little sectors of buildings in real estate, and there's $1 billion worth of real estate that, in a 1 mile stretch, right? And then you got the rest of the world. Like, who owns all that? And so it's just a matter of masterpiecing your sector, your business plan, your business model, and putting it to work. And so like in 1 year, we're able to facilitate $70 million in real estate. And then next year we'll do well over $100 million. And so your question was, how much of that do you get to keep, right? Because that's really what's important. So the way you really mass a fortune is you go in, and so if we're building new, we can typically build out our assets at about a 40% profit margin, 35 to 40% profit margin. There's some times that we can do even better, like now that we have hit this mass appreciation of real estate. Some of that stuff we walked into it with a 50% debt to income ratio because we built it new, and when it stabilized, we just had that much equity in it. Now that's not normal on all assets, but even at 40%. So you take 40% of $100 million, well, that's $40 million, right? You divide that by maybe a couple partners, that's $20 million a piece on just that one sector of what you're doing in life. Plus we have all our other businesses and other stuff going, so you have more money coming in from other avenues, and even your cash production of what you're doing through passive income is even coming in on top of that as well. So what you may think is 20 million might be even 25 million that year. Here's what's cool. This is how you become a billionaire. This is how you get to hundreds of millions of dollars, is this right here. It's the compounding effect. And you guys always hear me say, go out and compound your success. And here's why. It's the compounding effect of how money works. So if you understand banking, you understand real estate, and you understand the way money works, which most people don't, this is how you truly mass a fortune in business. Is you now take an asset that, yes, you maybe made that year $20 million on, or maybe $200,000 or whatever level you're at. But I'm talking about our stuff. So we take it, we make $20-25 million, and I don't go out and buy Lamborghinis or a big house. We have what we need right now, but we're building a lifestyle and we're building generational wealth, and it becomes more of a game to a certain degree. I hate saying that when money for most people is super hard to get, but it is. It becomes more of a game. So you sit back and you finish that asset. The asset itself may be worth $40 million, and maybe you have 15, 20 million in equity in that thing. And so you go in, you refinance, you pull your money back out, but you obtain the asset, you keep the asset. You don't sell the asset, you keep the asset. That's the problem most people do, is they sell the asset, they take their money, now they have tax liability. So instead, you refinance the asset, you take the same profit that you would have taken out of that asset if you would have sold it, but you do it tax-free. Then you keep the asset, because the asset's going to continue to appreciate. So as the value of money starts to deplenish, the cost to buy that same asset goes up, so the asset continues to appreciate over the course of time. So that same $40 million building in 10 years from now might be $60 million Okay, and over 10 years, it's paid itself back down again. That asset has continued to pump money. It's cash producing. It's paying its own debt. It's expensing its own expenses and paying for it on your behalf. And so that slowly starts to come back down. So hence, your equity hold on that continues to rise. And then you have your money that you got out of it, and now you have working capital again. So you still own the asset, you retain. Now, you put your original capital back into one deal, then you take this money that would have been a profit if you would have sold, but you refinanced it tax-free and you put it into another asset. So now you turn that one asset into two more assets. You have three from one, and you do the exact same thing with 2 and 3. Okay? So you buy those, you get a second asset, and you do the exact same thing. You build this one, you build this third one. You still have this one, it's just paying for itself. It's an idle mode. You have passive income. It's paying down its debt. It's paying down its equity. Now you have a second one you're doing it with, and your third one that you're doing it with. Now that turns in from 40 to 80 to 120 million, 20 million, 20 million, 20 million, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Boom, you roll that into another one. Then you maybe decide to sell, do a 1031 exchange, scale up. This one's now worth 50 million or 60 million. Now you can go in buy a Class A property someplace that's even bigger. This might have been 180 doors. Now you can go buy a 350 door complex, and you just continue scaling up or scaling out. But you continue to build your portfolio, and you never sell. You keep. So for those of you guys who are thinking like, you take a look at people like Grant, you take a look at people like myself, you take a look at people that are in the game, they're buying, they're building, they're developing, they're holding assets. This is why we don't sell, because when we sell, we have tax liability. Now, my tax liability comes from the passive income, but not from the asset net worth. So what we do is we just continue to compound our money, duplicate the process. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the real way on how you create wealth creation, passive income, and that's how you compound your money, your life, and your success.